It's good. I was reading a book by Yvonne Wilcox, and it's called Hot Chocolate, Why Are You So Cold? And it just resonated so deeply, you know? Is that as a black man, becoming a full man, you know, you deal with black women, you want to love black women, and the question I ask so often is, black woman, do you know how to be loved? And the answer so often is no. I just made a video about why many black people are self-hating racists or anti-black. But the black woman sits in a very special category because she is the most traumatized, abused, misunderstood, and has she ever been loved to know what love is? It's easy for me to talk about the difficulties of being a black man because I am one. But it's also very difficult for me to talk about that because my parents have created a life for me in which I'm shielded from many of the dangers that most other black men face. You know, and I'm aware of that. But I think of a generation before that, and just the entire experience. And yes, black women have moved on economically, within the field of education, because she's been the only one that's had any access besides black men who've completely betrayed black culture, black society. You know, black women were the only ones that had any access into white society decades before black men, by and large, have had access to enter. And even still today, you know, just because the door says open, it doesn't mean that you're welcome inside of it, you know? And I don't think anyone has to face that more than a black, because it's like, think about the danger. As a black man, I really only face a physical threat of someone having a gun. Like, if any other type of situation, I'm acing that motherfucker, no problem. But my only real threats come financially, and come with a cop with a fucking gun with more authority than I have, threatening my life in that type of way. Other than that, I can't really say that I know many other people do, I can't say that I personally am facing that type of trauma where it's distracted me to that point. I know that there's a fight to be fought. I know there's a war to be won, but that does not mean that I'm a casualty of that war. When you're not aware that there's a war and you're trying to be this loving, altruistic individual in a world that hates you for nothing else but your skin color, what does that do to you? When you're raised to be a delicate flower in a world that tramples upon flowers and sprays them with weed killer just to see what happens, it's like you would have to first face how men treat women, and just how many marriages or how many relationships are together simply because of the religious principles that you can't leave each other. You need principles to improve your relationship. You need principles to improve yourself as individuals, to keep growing as individuals, to keep loving one another, to keep expressing each other's love languages. But instead, it's just a lot of the relationships that pass guard in generation. It's obligatory love. it's not true love. It's not true romance. It's we had a kid, now we're stuck together. It's like not even talks and plans of having a kid. You know, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Real, really. Because it's like men today, especially with the current dialogue and how this fake red pill manosphere movement of honestly just white supremacists are just kind of like attacking women. And I'm not saying that there isn't a class. There's definitely a class of thoughts. There's definitely a class of hoe ass women out there who don't give a fuck about nothing else but money. But that does not, from my personal experience as a man who's been with a lot of women, that has not morphed and shaped. Most of the women I've been with, I can't say any of them have ever actually really asked me for money. I can't even say that they knew I wasn't a rich person or that I was at least at their level. What they wanted was a great time. What they wanted was a fun experience or someone with them, some experience. Or they wanted someone who they thought was genuinely going to care about them as an individual. It's like they were seeking love and seeking a relationship. They weren't seeking money. They weren't seeking sex. They were seeking love and understanding and companionship and someone to hang out with and someone who likes them for who they are as a person. And sometimes I failed to do that because I didn't know that. I didn't know that was that I'm listening to these fucking blue ball niggas over here, you know, and you got the red fucking horn dog fucking, what do you call the red pill movement now? We're gonna call them the doggy lipstick movement from now on. The doggy lipstick movement, the doggy rocket movement over there with their lipstick popping out of their fucking pants. They can't tell you everything about a woman. And it's like, it's so easy as a man to be corrupted so young about what women are like, about what women seek, about how to make a woman happy. It's like basically, I'll tell you this is the relationship advice that I've gotten up until being 28 years old as a black man. Hopefully this relationship gives you more experience for the next one. So it's already an assumption that the relationship is going to end. There's already an assumption that there's not going to be any long-term commitment here. There's already an assumption that I'm like personally, I wouldn't face, because that's the other side of the coin, is to understand the divine feminine within myself, what means to understand the divine feminine within the world at large. But if you can't understand your own divine masculine, you can't understand your own divine feminine, you're not going to understand women, and you're damn sure not going to understand how to truly be a man. Because a lot of you guys only understand men through slavery and through wage labor. It's like you guys don't have any other conception of masculinity other than being a psychopath or being rich. And most men aren't psychopathic. Most men aren't rich. Most men are very sensitive, very emotional, and getting by at best. I won't call you poor. Getting by at best, you know? And then that brings you to the idea of like what women are going through, because then it's like you're walking into a situation as a woman, it's like you're already being misunderstood by your partner simply on the basis of you being a woman. I'm not saying any form of discrimination, I'm not saying any, but there's a strong prejudice that you are already undertaking simply for having a vagina. And I'm sure men go through the same thing, but it's like, who is more likely to have been taught empathy in their lifetime? A man or a woman? More than likely a woman. I know that there's many women today that don't have any empathy whatsoever. They don't have any, they're wicked, they're witches. They're completely disconnected from the world. They're evil. Yes, there are evil women who do not care about you that exist. There are women who will get you set up and get you murdered. Yeah, yes. They're not the majority. It's like this guy that told me that in vitro fertilization asked him, what is a woman? And he says, creator. And I knew what he was meant, but I said, are you sure about that? And because this is very important to my point. I'm like, are you sure that she's the creator? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, where do babies come from? And then he says, well, there's the answer. No, the answer was they come from men. Well, the answer I was given was, well, then with in vitro fertilization, again, this is another man telling me this. With in vitro fertilization, a woman doesn't even need a man to have a baby. So I'm like, so you admit that they come from men? Where the importance of this study is that the woman can only incubate. She can only receive. She can only take what is given to her. There's no more than that. When you're given a capitalistic culture in which you have to get an education and you have to be rich to basically be following the rules, and if you're not rich and you're not educated, you failed. Women are very good at following that paradigm. They're very good at just following orders in general, quite honestly. In ways that most men rebel against, in ways that most men try to find, for me, for example, try to find some other fucking avenue to do this shit other than exactly what was said to me. You know? So yes, you have a situation now where many women are far more educated than men. As far as a degree, I'm not even gonna fucking marginalize your intelligence. I'm gonna just say it straight up. We're in a situation where most women are a lot smarter than the men. Most women are more rich or more resourceful. It's like if she does not have money, she more than likely has access to large sums of money. Either through her spouse, a partner, a friend, or another rich woman. Most men are in solitude, working by themselves, or they are yuppies and ass kissers surrounded by other ass kissers who honestly only suffice, the entire manosphere movement basically, who only really subsist upon kissing other men's ass. So there's basically just a long chain of asses that they have to kiss. And they're just men who are just driven to kiss every ass that's on that fucking chain. And if you're not one of those men, you're more than likely like me. And there is no chain, there is no fucking... But then there's also no upward mobility, there's no upward movement. You know, with that system of ass kissing, you get more access with every ass that you kiss. Within the system of rejecting that and going your own way, you know, and that's why I feel like a lot more men take that kind of road than women do. You're subjected to a lot more droughts, a lot more struggles, a lot more periods without any of basically the rewards of following the system. Now, you flip that system around, that's what it is for men. For women, it's not like that. There's not a bunch of asses you have to kiss. There's a bunch of dudes that want to fuck you. There's a bunch of guys that want to penetrate you. It's like if you are a balloon, essentially. And I'm sorry for this reference. Women aren't balloons. But if you're a balloon, you essentially just have a bunch of people that just want to pop you. And nothing else. They have no other value for you. They don't want to see you inflate. They don't want to see you get bigger. They just want to see if they can pop the balloon. And it's like what it is to judge your convictions. It's to judge your strong points. Look at Vince McMahon in the situation that he's currently in. Shout outs to WWE, I guess. But he's having sex with his paralegal. He gives her $100,000 a year. Once she starts having sex with him, he gives her $200,000 a year. Then he fires her, so she doesn't say anything, and gives her $3 million. It's like for men, and I wouldn't say all men, because I can't say it's not a masculine because there are women like that too. For psychopathic nepotist, you know, there we go. That's the perfect for psychopathic nepotist. There's a price for everything. So there's a price for your child's virginity. There's a price for if you're in a relationship, there's a price for your adultery. There's a price, if you're a young single woman, for you becoming some man's sex slave or their sugar baby. It's like they feel as if they can buy. this is like the trick of what I'm gonna say, because I'm gonna come back to this point later and flip it on its head. But I'm gonna first walk into the situation the way it is, and then we're gonna come back. So I'm just gonna walk. This is the reality of what it is for to be a woman in America, is that you are in a backstabbing, white supremacist, evil, vindictive country in which you have to be a certain type of person to succeed within the system, whether you're a male or a female. But men can get by based off of kissing ass, and basically the difference between men and women in this type of situation, because I just don't want to go too far on this point and get lost in a red herring or get lost in a straw man, is essentially what a woman has to sacrifice within her virtue of giving up her body and giving up her sex. A man has to sacrifice within his docility and timidity or lack of integrity. You know, to get the man to compromise his integrity is the equivalent of having sex with a woman, because that's essentially what both systems are doing. But the woman loses twice because she has to compromise her integrity, but also she has just opened herself up completely, because sex is an exchange of energies, to this is, and if she doesn't do it, so fuck if she does it. If she does it, you see what happens. But let's focus if she doesn't do it, because let's focus on the majority of women here aren't gonna have sex with their boss. Majority of women here, if they do get into a relationship with a coworker, it's more than likely because they're spending all fucking day together. And who the fuck else is she gonna talk to? If like all you do is work full fucking time, who are you gonna talk to but one of your coworkers, quite honestly? Just da-da, you know? But she doesn't, she keeps her integrity. She doesn't have sex with her boss. She doesn't go through the line. For men, if there's a bunch of asses you have to kiss, for women, there's a bunch of dicks that you gotta fucking suck to get to the fucking top of the fucking chain. But it's like, you don't do that. Now you're viewed as a prude. Now you're viewed as uptight. You know, it's like, it's not just the amount of labels set upon you. It's the fact that because you wouldn't give something very sacred to you up for a job or for a better position, you know, now you're limited in so many things that even if you did work hard, the fact that there is that co-ed, that non-platonic emotional cycle of control going on there, I know for a fact many women have been limited because they wouldn't do those things, because they wouldn't have sex with their boss, because they wouldn't be overly promiscuous, you know, because they wouldn't have these weird relationships with their coworkers, you know. And a man wouldn't have to necessarily, if you're a man and your male boss tries to like seduce you for sex, I don't think if you said no, like anyone's gonna really be like, you weren't gay, you know, like. But it's like if you're a heterosexual woman and your boss, who's supposed to be the alpha male of the group and is supposed to be the most, and you're like, no, I don't have any interest in having sex with you whatsoever. There's a lot of vindication that comes from that. And is that vindication justified? Absolutely not. It's just like when a man attempts to approach, men approach women. Women don't necessarily ask to be approached. It doesn't even matter what she's kind of dressed like. It's like she's not asking to be approached, you know? Unless she's making direct eye contact with you, it's like, I'm not even gonna get, because a lot of you guys are lost. Like, I see you guys watching pickup videos, you guys going to fucking seminars to figure out how to get laid. Like, you guys are really sick puppies. You're off. It's like, how the fuck do you expect to have sex with a woman without having a relationship with her first? You know, these guys aren't just, these guys that your women cheat on you with, they don't just cheat on you because they're fucking A-studs. It's like, no, they get her to laugh. They get her out of her shell. They get her all the, like, if you don't have any woman in your life whatsoever, they're very calm and at ease with that man Versus with you, they're very on edge and uncomfortable. You know, maybe not the people watching my videos, because the people watching my videos are cool as shit. But to those other fucking creepos out there who aren't, these incels, these fucking red pill guys, it's like you guys wouldn't be so angry towards women if you actually understood what they were going through. I don't want to give too much of my personal information, but I know someone very dear to me who I love deeply. And it's like the men that she's like, I know for a fact that the men that she's dated, she loved those men to death. She would have done anything for them. She loved them, truly and honestly. When it came to having a kid, these dudes turned bitch. These guys didn't do shit for their kids. They can't fucking help out whatsoever. And this has really morphed and shaped a lot of my adult life, and seeing these kids being raised and being like, where the fuck are your fathers at? Where the fuck, like, I'm watching her struggle and everything, like, and it's like, it doesn't come back two ways. She faces all that criticism. It takes, again, babies come from men. So all she did was receive someone's seed and incubate it. Somebody else impregnated her. She faces all the criticism for that. She faces all the judgment. She should have made it better. And it's like, I'm looking at this, Mo, and I'm just like, no. I'm like, no. Like, she could not have made any better decision, because when it really came down to it, it came down to those dudes. One of them, the first one, great. I wish it would have been that fucking ideal. The second one, even fucking better. You're having a kid. It's time to get serious. It's time to fucking put that shit in frame of mind. Like, if you weren't getting, like, this is my 2 cents in the matter. If you were the breadwinner before the kid, continue being the breadwinner. If you weren't getting the bag before you got the kid, it's time to pick up the fucking diaper bag, my guy. For real. If you weren't rich and you didn't have any plans of getting rich before you had children, you need to just take care of your kid. That would be better for everybody. Because it's like the amount of single mothers that we have right now, the amount of women who can raise their hands and say they've been hit by their spouse, they've been berated by their spouse, they've been abused, they've been mistreated. It's like it's too much. It's too much. It's not, it's like all you really have is men trying to come back out that, and they try to argue with the statistics. They try to belittle this. It's like you don't see the problem in that. I remember the report and the study came out. It said 90% of women on a college campus or something like that says they have either been sexually assaulted or they know someone that's been sexually. 90% know someone that's been sexually assaulted at least. That's a lot. That's a lot. And that's like, the women don't all talk to each other. Women aren't all friends with every fucking... So these are just isolated groups of women that can attest that at least one of them have been sexually... If you have a group of 5 women, at least one of them has been sexually assaulted in that group by a man, and they did not want that relationship. They did not want that contact. They did not want that experience, and now they're living with it forever. And that trauma doesn't leave you. I remember the trauma that I've been in some relationships. And no, it hasn't left me. I haven't just gotten over it. I remember my first real breakup, with a woman I thought I was going to marry, and we broke up, and I was just completely fucking devastated for years. And it's like, the shit didn't just go away overnight. I didn't just fuck it out of my system or something like that. If anything, dating other women made it worse, because it just reinforced all the reasons why I couldn't have a long-term relationship. It just reinforced all the reasons why I couldn't be committed, and it fucked with me more. But to think about then the other side, it's like you can't control someone else's commitment towards you. It doesn't matter what you do for this nigga, he's still not grateful. And it's like, and then what men have this weird thinking that women desire to be treated. Women like when you jape with them, hopefully, women like banter, you know, women like basically dancing with words, you know. When you can pick on her, you can poke a little fun on her, you know, and then she can take it and she can laugh it off. She likes that. Women don't like you insulting them. They don't like you degrading them. They don't like being verbally abused, you know. There's a difference between being overly sensitive and you saying something that's overtly offensive. There's a very bold line between the two, but if you're walking into the situation again with the prejudice that women like being mistreated by men, women like men that treat them like shit, it's like you're really like misunderstanding all those. No, a lot of those times women do not realize they're going to be treated like shit. They fall in love way before getting to know who you really are as a man. And what essentially, because I'm really going to break the game down for you so you can understand it, because I'm not even just talking about black women anymore, I'm talking about all women, essentially, is that no, like a woman walks into a relationship, essentially, and she has this archetypical image of you. Just like you have the image of a woman being this everlasting fountain of empathy and love and sex and validation, and then the well is never gonna run dry. Your mother's never gonna resent you or hate you. It's like, no, that's not realistic. They had an archetypical image of who you are as a man, of what your potential is, of what you can do, of what you can achieve. And for some women, they believe you can treat them properly. Some women think you can rule the fucking world. They really do. But the moment, this is why a lot of you guys fuck up. A lot of you guys go, oh, she's crazy. Oh, no, she's not crazy. She's optimistic. She's passionate. No, she has an archetypical view for you that she wants you to fulfill. And she's already told you what it is. She's already told you what she wants from you. And the moment that you slip out of that archetypical image, you pay for it. Because your job isn't to resist her image for you. It isn't to resist her advice. It isn't to resist her intuition. It's not to resist her love. It's to accept it and understand women really do. Feminism really does want what's best for everybody. Do they, at this point in time, the 2022, with men infiltrating the worst type of men, the beta males, the bitch-ass niggas infiltrating the feminist movement, you know, and not letting it be a natural, organic, feminist woman safety space like it should have been. Now it's like this shared experience between unattractive fat men and incels who think that being women will help them have sex with straight heterosexual men who want to have sex with Kim Kardashian. We want Kim Kardashian. We don't want a fat man who dresses like a woman. We don't. We don't want fat. Just like it's like borderline insanity, but it's like even then that safe space of an entire ideology created to give women a sense of belonging and empowerment is trampled upon and bashed and insulted. It's like you would have to first face all these things that make relationships go awry, all these things that women have to face on a daily basis. And I'm sorry to have lost myself so much, but like to get right back around to center field here and to really knock the ball out of the park, because I really did go on a few different, I didn't want to get lost in the red herrings, I didn't want to get lost in the straw mans, so let me just focus and zero in. Black women, do you know how to be loved? No. Because who is loving them? Who is loving them? Who is loving the black woman? Who's doing it? Because it's like you can just appreciate a woman with an education and a woman who's wealthy. You can just appreciate. No, it's like then men get insecure about it. And it's like, men, I don't feel like men get intimidated by women. I feel like women have the wrong word. I feel like even when they say that, a woman is trying to preserve a man's ego, because what she's really trying to say is that I make men feel insecure. She does not try, men are not intimidated by you. You make them feel insecure. And that is the difference. Until you can meet a guy who feels aces and eights about himself with no fucking money in his bank, dressing bummy on the fucking street, you're not going to find a guy who needs all this money. Because that's the issue, is that women need all that education. They need all that money to feel secure. Because even some of the most beautiful women have one bad boyfriend who completely destroys their self-image. They have a narcissistic parent that completely destroys their self-image. They were very beautiful growing up, and other girls were jealous of that, or other boys were jealous of that, and they completely destroyed their self-image. So it's not going to come from beauty. You have this creeping idea in our society that when a woman hits a certain... When men hit 30, a lot of you niggas' knees go out. A lot of you don't exercise. A lot of, like, even the bare minimum of exercise. By 30, 35, a lot of these dudes give up completely. But you're going to judge women on the same... It's like, it's just a fact of life. It's a fact of it. It's like, no, but when men get older, it's like, no, you have all these bullshit ideologies. You have all this bullshit mentality shit to keep men feeling like the fucking Viagra of ego, the Viagra of machismo, of like fucking narcissism, essentially. And it's like, that's why most men are slaves. That's why most men kiss ass for the rest of their life. That's why most men are fucking followers, because they never realize you don't need that shit for validation. You don't need other people for validation. You can validate yourself by working very hard in your craft. You can validate yourself by identifying the problems within your work and going back to fix them and work on them, by having accountability, by having responsibility, by focusing on the things that are important to you, by serving your family. Those are the things that are important. But it's like most of these men are completely fucking lost. You know, and it's not, oh, they're not rich. It's like, I don't care if you're rich or not rich. I'm not the one. I don't care if you're rich or not rich. I really don't. But most of these men, they couldn't raise a family. They couldn't be a good spouse. They couldn't be a good boyfriend or good whatever. And nothing. And I'm telling you again, I told you all the relationship I got advice until I was 28. I'm 28 now. Hopefully this relationship gives you more experience for the next one. These men, we criticize women for not being housewives. Why? Like, you got DoorDash. What the fuck you need a housewife for, nigga? Like, for real. Clean up after your goddamn self. Learn how to make some fucking macaroni and cheese or some fucking chicken or some shit. Fuck that gender role shit. That's not my fucking problem. Fuck the traditional models for male or female. That's not my fucking problem. How the fuck are you gonna criticize women for not being homebodies and for not being traditional housewives and shit like this when men don't even prepare themselves to have a fucking family? They prepare themselves to be baby daddies. They don't prepare themselves to be fathers. They prepare themselves to be boyfriends, to be in a triad, to have all these multiple women in their lives. They don't prepare themselves to be monogamous, to be chaste, and to be loyal to one woman, you know? So how the fuck are you going to criticize one side for that issue, but you're also not going to have criticism on the other side? Because again, babies come from men. You cannot have a single mother without having a man that left the picture. Without having a man who is with a woman who he knew was no good for him. And he still pursued it. So again, the trials and wages of sin is death. He sinned, he died. Either his ego died or she had someone come touch him. You know, because as again, if a woman, again, I told you, a rich woman or a woman with resources, okay? You also have dangerous women, and you have women that know very dangerous people. So there is no getting around it. Why a black woman specifically so angry or so bitter or have such rough edges? They don't. That's how you treat people that disrespect you. That's how you treat people who don't want to understand you. That's how you treat people who don't approach you. Instead of removing their prejudice, instead of removing their preconceived notions and embracing you like you're a brand new experience, because I've had my personal experience, I've had many women who are very, very mean to every other nigga they know. They were never mean to me. Facts. One work experience specifically, I remember working at this one place, this one soul food spot down the street from me. They have amazing food, by the way, Mama's Southern Fried Chicken. And it's, I'm not trying to blow up their spot, but there's this one lady, I'm not going to blow up too many spots, but there's this one lady, she's one of the fucking people that really run that place for real. She's nice. And she is so sharp, so mean, so quick-witted, so just right there with everybody else there. She was an angel to me. She said hi to me. Even after I left and I came back just to say what's up, one day, she was still very nice to me. Because the idea of that is that many women don't know how to handle a man who's very strong, very dangerous, but will treat them well. I had to take a moment of silence because it's the truth. A good man, this is Jordan Peterson said this, a good man is not a weak man. A good man is a very, very dangerous man who knows how to temper himself and knows when to use that, who chooses to use that for good. That's why a lot of women are attracted to police officers. They're attracted to guys in the military because even though she knows this guy can fucking eviscerate a human being, he ain't gonna do that. He knows not to do that to me, hopefully. Because those are also some of the most abusive men. So, that's not funny, but it's true as fuck. But that's the mentality, because it's like women that you try to go for the idea of why are women attracted to bad boys. Women are not attracted to bad boys. Women are attracted to dangerous men. It's different. It's very different, because bad means you get into trouble. Bad means you're mischievous. Bad means that you're the know-it-all trickster or something like that. Women are attracted to dangerous men. Men who can hurt other people, men who have power, men who have some sense of presence, because it's something that she desires. Look at what these women do when they make a lot of money, when they get a lot of education. That's what they suck all that in. But when a man can do that naturally, that's the major. A woman has to make a lot of accomplishments. Just as a man has to go through a lot of enlightenment and go through a lot of wisdom and experience to tap into his inner feminine and to calm himself, to listen to others, to take advice, and to be more receptive to the peace in the world around him, rather than just being in go all the time, go. Gotta do this, gotta do that. Men have that sense of arrogance and ego amongst them, as people call me arrogant. They would call me cocky. They would call me things, and it's like, no, that's just my personality. That's just what I'm like as a person. And that's what they're attracted to. Because while they feel very insecure, while they are second guessing themselves, and while they're trying to figure out which way is up, they look for a man who has a very strong foundation and where he's, at least for where the hell he thinks he's headed, You know, if she wants to get on the train with you or not is a whole different goddamn story. But that's what they're attracted to. A lot of you guys don't have that. A lot of you guys have no vision for what you want to do for your life. A lot of you guys aren't dangerous. You're weak. You know, your only danger is that you own a gun and you're a coward. And if someone scares you, you might kill them. That's not power. That's weakness. That's being a pussy, man. You know, being able to square up and fight with someone, or being able to simply confront someone without fighting, be able to confront someone who has wronged you. That's something that, you know. Beware the women who are attracted to weak men. Beware them. You know, because they're looking for someone to control. A lot of women might misunderstand you and think that you're weak and think that you're controllable. No, they cannot control you. You have to give in to someone else's. No one can force you to do anything. You have to give in. You have to comply. And I guess what truly woman, because let me get down to it. Because I really I don't want to fucking be doing this shit all night and be going back and forth with my mindset in these topics all night. But essentially, the quality in which I want to get to and the whole thing I'm going to spin around is that while women are conditioned to live in a materialistic, capitalistic world in which their love is buyable, they're purchasable, and they're viewed as a commodity rather as a human being, many women gain the wisdom and insight to realize that is wrong and that is not what they want for themselves. Even if they are rich and very wealthy, they still want to be loved. They don't want to just be tolerated. They want to be loved and loved fully. They want to be treated properly. They want to be respected. And I think that's the misconception for a lot of women, is because women are saying, I want the same thing you do. You don't want the same thing men want. You don't. You don't want the same thing men, because men put up with women abusing them, mistreating them for some pussy. You know, and when she stops mistreating and stop abusing you, you might see that pussy dry up for real, bro. Like, for real, you might see that pussy dry up. My God. But a lot of women become aware that that's not the way. That's not how they want to be loved. And you'll see them really adapt their dating interest, adapt how they raise their children, or adapt just their own modus operandi of why a lot of women become very rough around the edges, very tough, very aggressive, because either there was an absence of masculine energy, so they never felt protected, or there was an abusive or tyrannical masculine energy, so they had to protect somebody else because they had no protection. Because the line between the abuser and the victims were this razor thin, and that razor thin line was whether or not you were going to man the fuck up to defend somebody or not. And that's the real reason a lot of women become, I took a whole 45 minutes to fucking say that one line. It took a while to get there. But it's like, you have to think about all these other, that's why you have a mama bear. Within a lot of female groups, you have a den mother, or you have a mama bear figure. You have the one wise woman in the group who either is happily married or has been very mistreated by men. So they're the one that vets the men that everyone dates. She's usually the one that makes sure that she doesn't go home with you at night and that she comes home safe. Because a lot of women understand what it's like to be abused by a man. A lot of women understand what it's like to be mistreated. A lot of women have viewed other women or viewed their mothers be mistreated. And it's not something that we take women not wanting to get married or women just wanting to have their fun, or the criticism of the modern woman, we take it so apathetically to what women are actually going through, or to what women have actually gone through, and we ignore how many men have murdered their spouse. We ignore how many men have beat their wives or beat their girlfriend. We ignore how many men verbally or emotionally abuse their spouse or cheat on their spouse. We really underestimate the emotional toll that takes on somebody, And then we expect the next generation of women to play the same game that the former it's not happening, Jack. It ain't going down like that, buddy. It ain't going down like that. So a lot of you men are suffering because you're abusive. You're suffering because you show those traits and qualities of being abusive. You show those traits and qualities of being a weak man. You show the qualities that make you very dangerous to be in a relationship with a sensitive, insecure individual. And you should work on that. Because the natural thing that I would tell you this is that if a woman is getting very aggressive with you, it's more than likely because you scare her. And it's not the same with men are intimidated. It's like, no, women naturally feel. You don't have to do anything to make a woman feel insecure. You make her feel scared. You make her feel like she has to defend herself. You make her feel as if she has to protect her emotions from you, or she has to protect her thoughts from you, or she can't be herself around you. And you put your only job as a man, because I know a lot of people don't understand relationships. Your only job as a man is to create a safe space for her. That's it. Create a safe space for her to be herself. Create a safe space for her to grow and evolve as an individual and to support her in the things that she does. A lot of you men can't do that. It's like you guys want to be the spotlight. It's like she has a fucking doctorate. You ain't go to school and you want to be the center of motherfucking attention. The only center of attention you are going to be is people wondering why the fuck is she with you. When you know how to step back, and it's like if you're great, be great. You know, that's my situation. Like I can brag about being an author all day and night. I don't. And I think people respect that to a large degree because I could flex and be the center. It's like, no, I give her the spotlight. Because one, it's going to mean a lot more to her than it is to me. That's just my person. I don't need a lot of pats on the backs. I don't need a lot of validation. I don't need a lot of compliments. I don't really need a lot of social interaction and shit like that. So I don't mind giving my woman the credit. I don't mind giving her the spotlight. I don't mind, even if I did 90% of the fucking work, I still do not care about giving her the fucking credit. Because she knows I did it. That's all she knows I did the fucking work. I will still allow people to give her the credit because it means more to her. A lot of you guys get insecure about that, and like you guys get defensive or jealous about it, and it's like, let her just be fucking happy, bro. Like, just let her be happy. Just let her have a good life. Just let her be. And it's just that's a lot of you guys would never do that. A lot of you guys don't know how to let a woman just be happy. You don't know how to treat a woman well. You don't know how to just, and it's not a matter of just talking to women. It's a matter of just like, she's not a different creature because she has a vagina, bro. And that's why most guys who are very successful with women, and I don't mean your success, like, because other people's success is having sex with a lot of women and stuff like that. That's not, I mean men who have very deep, rich relationships with women. And either their wife, their spouse, or they have very deep, rich relationships with multiple women who they're not necessarily having any sex with whatsoever. Women just like him as a person. Is because he treats them like a friend. And I'm sorry, but a lot of you don't get that. It's like, but he does. He treats her like a friend. And not one of his boyfriends, not one of his bros, but he treats her like she matters more than just sex. She matters more than just what she can do for him. She matters more than just her body. She matters more than just her look. There's deeper, the men who are most successful treat her as if there are deeper qualities to her than just, what can you do for me? Because nobody likes that in a person. But especially not in a very, very volatile, tumultuous situation where you already have a very temperamental, very delicate, very volatile, mercurial energy within a woman. And then you have to also meet that with a mercurial, capricious, selfish, individualistic man. That's not going to work. It wouldn't work. You know, it's one thing if like it's not any other thing. It just wouldn't work. Because you can't have a child can't raise a child, you know? And this is going to sound really disrespectful, but it's going to be the truest thing, and I think most women will understand this more than anything. The one thing a woman hates more than anything is being treated like or being called a child. Most women know for a fact that even grown-ass women act like fucking children. So the real mentality that you walk into this with is, how would a father, an idealized father, treat his daughter? That's the kind of man you gotta be. And that's not just the kind of man that you have to be with your spouse. That's the man that you have to be 24/7, 365. How would the idealized man treat his daughter? That's how you have to be the whole time. And that's what attracts women to you. That's what brings women to you. Because you're going to have to eventually raise kids. And you're not just going to have to raise kids, but you're going to have to be the decision maker in your relationships. I'm not the breadwinner in my relationship. I'm the decision maker in my relationships. It's a very different position. Because you're going to be charged with, if things go right, you're going to be charged with that if things go right. If things go wrong and things go awry, you're never going to hear the end of that shit. So you have to already be in a place as a man where you're making firm decisions for yourself. You're proving that you're responsible. You're proving that you're able to accomplish the things that you say you're going to set out to do. And you prove that you have a sense of integrity, because that's what a woman is honestly going to be attracted to, and that's what she's honestly going to need in her life. It's not a matter of being attracted to 20-year-old girls who have zero life experience and think that they know everything. How would you treat a 30-year-old woman who has all her shit together? A lot of you guys can't do that. A lot of you guys only want to date younger girls because she does not know enough to know that you suck. She's not old enough to realize you were a terrible decision. She should have never done this. And you're going to treat her like... She's so new to the relationship. She does not know the signs to know when a man will treat her like shit. That's why a lot of you guys are attracted to younger women. I feel personally. I feel like a lot of you guys don't date older women, or you don't date girls your age because they're old enough to know better. They're old enough to have some sense of experience, and they're old enough to know how to check your ass and how to know that what the fuck you should be doing to some extent, because they're more than likely doing it. A lot of you are not... You're not applicable mates. You know, the reason why you can say it's hypergamy, I think it's just common sense. A lot of guys would not make great fathers. A lot of guys would not be very safe partners, because even when women think that they're making a great decision in a partner, they still can slip up, or hard financial times can come, and what used to be a very nice, loving man is now an abusive alcoholic because he got laid off, or because he didn't get the promotion that he thought he wanted, or because, you know, anything can change, you know, in that kind of sense, or just he lied to you the entire time to get into your pants and to fuck you, and now that he's fucking you, now he's acting like his real self, and his real self is an asshole, you know? It's like, sadly, I feel like most women have faced that situation in which they were dating a guy, the guy talked all this big game, he talked all this shit, and then when it really came down to who he was, he wasn't who he said he was. And I'm trying to, because I'm not trying to make everything sound super dramatic and super like, oh, all men are abusive, because I don't believe that. But I would say it's that basic. It's that basic as that. You told her this is who you are. You told her these are the things that I'm gonna fucking list. I'm gonna give you a fucking list. I'm gonna leave you alone. You approach this woman. Why are women angry? Why are black women specifically so mad and so angry? So you came to her and you said, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. Did you stand by that? If the answer is no, that's why she's angry. 2, you lied about how much fucking money you had, and you lied about how ambitious you were about getting money. If you told her the truth and said, I don't give a fuck about money, I just care about love, peace, and happiness and sunshine, she can't really get that fucking mad at you because you told her what the game was. If you told her, nah, man, I'm a baller, I get to the bag, I stay with the bag, I keep getting money, as long as they print money, I'm going to give you some money. And then you broke, and then you asking, and you lacking, and then she can't do the shit that she wants to do because you can't afford it. Why the fuck didn't you just let her get her own job and get her own education and shut your ass up? That's number 2. You lied about who you were. You lied about how much money you had. You lied about your ambition. 3, you said you had a dream. You said you had a vision, and you gave up on yourself. So there was something that you wanted to do in life. There was something that you wanted to accomplish, and you fucking quit. That would be why she's so angry. Because that one hits so close to home for people, because it's like you don't just, it's like, okay, it's disappointing but it's like you also force someone to lose optimism. When someone's chasing a dream and they're doing a very half-assed job at it, it's depressing to watch. When someone's chasing a dream and they quit, people lose all sense of optimism for their dreams. But when you're chasing that dream and you are ambitious, you wake up every day going after it, you have mission reports, you keep finding you failed, you found a way to come back stronger, you got set back, you found a way to overcome your situation, you found a way to be resourceful and go around the situation. I give you an example. I run a lawn care business. I don't got a fucking car. I'm gonna let you put that shit in your head for a second. I do lawn care. I do not have a vehicle to transport a lawnmower or any of my lawn equipment. I still do it. Where the fuck you at? What the fuck you doing? Let's let into that. That was the precursor to the shit I actually had to say to you. My lawnmower has been broken for weeks now. I've still been cutting lawns with no lawnmower. I just cut someone's lawn today with a fucking weed whacker. And it wasn't even my weed whacker. A lot of you guys, like, you don't get it because you think it's like, because a lot of women don't get it. You need to have that fun. I'm not having fun. I'm just Number 4, you do not give her, or you did not give her, the basic human decency. And this is a big one for a lot of men, because a lot of men are not raised to view women as equals. So it's not just, you didn't treat her like one of your friends, you didn't treat her like one of the bros, you didn't even treat her like she was worthy of your base level of respect, of common courtesy, of thinking about what you're going to say before you said it, of considering that another human being has feelings. And let me tell you, if that happens too much, male or female, you're going to have a very ornery, a very defensive, a very hurt, traumatized individual, because they're not going to know how to take a compliment anymore. They're not going to know how to take basic conversation because they're constantly going to be wondering, where's the trick? This is my last final idea, and then I'm done with the topic. I'm done with the subject. I don't want to ever talk about it again. I don't ever want to bring this subject up again. I don't ever want to be the face of why black women are angry or anything of that fucking nature. But I needed to say this, and I needed to empathize with this so strongly because it's such a dark issue, you know. And that just my final point is something that I've already said, but I'm going to reiterate it and say it again, is that many women are honestly at the point in which they no longer respond to the positive. They no longer respond to you being a good man. They no longer respond to compliments or being treated well or being treated how they should be treated because they are wondering when you're going to pull the rug from underneath them. If you found a woman who was raised properly and she knows how to be treated, then when you treat her properly, she's going to respond to being treated properly. If you're dating a woman who has never been treated well, has never seen the women, this is a very realistic scenario. You need to stop acting as if this is a foreign concept. It is very realistic in 2022 specifically for a woman to have been raised and never have been treated properly as a woman. It's possible for a woman to have been raised and see generations of women in her life being mistreated or being abused by men. It's very real. It's real. It's there. It's pertinent. It's in the world. Men need to change and do some shit about that. We need to fix it. It's like, I'll tell you in person, it's a very thin line between being a good guy and being a shitty guy. It's like a hair trigger temper, and it takes a long, long time and a lot of introspection for you to really grow the fuck up and get out of that shit. Because it's very volatile, it's very dangerous, it's very... The worst she's going to do to you is hurt your feelings, guy. Maybe she'll get someone else to kill you. Maybe she'll call a hit on you. But if she had to call another human being and pay them large sums of money that she did not have to have you get touched, what kind of man were you to begin with? Real talk. Real talk. It's not that women want to be treated poorly by men. It's that women expect to be treated poorly by men. They expect for you to be some varying layer of insecure or abusive or completely... Honestly, a lot of women prefer men who are completely absorbed in their work and work all the time because that is less time that she would have to spend around you. So she doesn't have to be bothered with you at all. She only has to deal with you when you come home from work. You're too tired to do shit. You're too tired. Either you're going to start a fight or start a fucking argument over some shit, and then you're going to spend the rest of the night by yourself and she doesn't fucking deal with you. Or she just does your obligatory list of things that you need done to shut the fuck up and be quiet, and then you shut the fuck up and be quiet for the rest of the night. So that's why a lot of 9-to-5 guys get by with women very well, because she doesn't have to deal with you all day. And then when she does have to deal with you, you don't have the energy, or your free time will become too valuable that you can't spend it arguing with her. A lot of you other motherfuckers are lost. And I'm saying that coming from both sides of the triangle of being a guy who's been abused by women, being a guy who's been very abusive towards women, and being a man who's really had to change his entire paradigm, his entire perspective on relationships and how to interact with the opposite sex because of his actions, because of what he's done, what he's said, and how he's felt. And more than anything, I only feel that way because of the women in my life and trying to imagine them in that situation. and trying to imagine them on the other side of that. And I wanted them to have at least one fucking guy in their life. Maybe I wasn't always like that. I have one fucking guy and say he would never do that. It's like, I know a lot of guys, I know he would never do that. I know a lot of guys who, but he would, it's like, and it's like, you need at least one fucking guy like that in your life. And it really changes the whole ball game because you don't need to date every dude you meet. You only need one fucking husband, and now you know what he looks like. And it's good to be that for women. It's good to show that to women. Because otherwise, man, it's like, what are they picking from? What are they picking from? What are you complaining? Like, why would a woman want to have sex with you? It lasts 10 minutes, 10 to 30 minutes of their life, and then they're fucking stuck with you. Why would they want to have sex with you? They don't even desire sex. The shit hurts them. After a good little while, the shit hurts. You know, so it's like, if you're a man and your top priority for a relationship with a woman is sex, I pray that you never get it. I pray that you don't. Because it's just, what are you doing for the world? You're creating more babies that don't get taken care of. You're creating more women who they're judged harshly and critically because you decide to abandon your family, because you decide to get women pregnant and say, oh, that ain't my baby. Motherfucker kid look just the fuck like you. That's not my baby. You must have been fucking with somebody because you were fucking with other bitches. When you want to ask, why are white women acting this way towards white men? It's because of white men. It's because of how they were treated, or it's because of how their friends were treated, or it's because of how their mothers were treated. When you ask black women, why do black women act X amount of way? It's the same fucking, it's because of how it's not like the feminist movement came and it just brainwashed and manipulated black women. No, women had a common cause and a common issue of how the fuck they were treated by men. That shit, and if you have a heart in your fucking chest and a soul within your vessel, you can see a deep issue with how men treat women. And I'm not going to say how I fucking treat women, because I feel like I treat them pretty fucking goddamn good. You know, I feel like I'm fucking spun around to the other side of how women fucking treat me. And how women appreciate good men in their lives. They don't appreciate good men. Because I think, honestly, the real thing is, I don't think women realize that good men exist, because a lot of women are searching for perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. Good men exist. So a lot of women don't know how to value good men. A lot of women don't know how to value men who will do the right things for them. No, because they have never seen it before. They don't know how to identify it. And sadly, a lot of them just take it as weakness. Because they wouldn't do it. Because they're so far gone. They don't know how to be submissive anymore. They're so far gone, they don't know how to be vulnerable anymore. They don't know how to be comfortable being themselves anymore. And, you know, a lot of horizontal hostility between other women have created that environment. But men and their perspective of women have really done nothing to improve that situation, have really done absolutely nothing to make it more hospitable for people. It honestly just serves to make things work. Guys like Andrew Tate that have 73 women working as cam girls inside of his home and then getting arrested for sex trafficking, that is sadly the idealized life for a lot of men. And a lot of men are still supporting Andrew Tate despite him being a sex trafficker, because they don't respect women, they don't love women, they're not trying to treat women like equal individuals. And then you can see how this makes the issues of racism, the issues of homophobia, the issues of ageism, the issues of classism that much worse and that much harder to solve. Because if you quite honestly cannot solve the basic biological issue of how men and women are equitable, I would say equitable in my eyes. But if you can't solve the basic biological division between male and female, you stand no chance of solving any of these other issues. it starts at home. It really does. And it just starts with love, man. It just starts with love.